Hello everybody, Randy Patrick here. It's that time again, Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns, and turning it really is this past couple of days. So we got a lot to talk about today. Stuff's going on here. Topics are for today, which is Friday, April the 19th. We're going to discuss the California housing crash. Okay, looks like it's starting to move that way. Buyers market shift. Housing starts collapse, multifamily lending record, and new retirement destinations. That's a scoop for today. So again, let's get into it. So what happened recently, California Association of Realtors, otherwise known as CAR, they produced their monthly reports, and they just released what is their reporting for March 2019. Very, very interesting. See what's going on. So I'll give you the key points here. I'll have a link to this in the about us section of the video, so you can actually go and look at it yourself. I'm just going to hit the highlights because there's a lot to talk about in this. So basically, sales dropped on an annual basis in basically all the regions across California, with double-digit sales declines in the Los Angeles Metro, Inland Empire, and San Francisco Bay Area, and while the Central Coast and Central Valley actually experienced single-digit declines. So basically, when you look at the chart, which you can see on the link, it's all negative. All you see is declines in sales activity. So is that a good thing? No, I think that just shows that the public, the buyers have had enough, and it's not where they want it to be for them to trigger deals. It's simple as that. San Francisco Bay Area was down 10.8% from March 2018, and home sales in all the 9 Bay Area counties fell from a year ago, especially in Napa and Sonoma counties, which suffered the largest decreases. The LA Metro region posted a year-over-year sales drop of 12%, with home sales falling in every county. Ventura County had the biggest decline in sales, while San Diego dropped the least. Home sales in the Inland Empire declined 10.4% from a year ago, as Riverside and San Bernardino counties posted annual sales declines of 9.3% and 12.2% respectively. So again, we're seeing, not a 2% or not a 1%. We're seeing, 10 plus, or hovering around 10. That's quite significant. And let's take a look over here now. Active listings continue to climb from the prior year, increasing 13.4% from this time last March. And that's the 12th consecutive month active listings have risen year over year, and the 9th month in a row that they have grown on a double-digit basis from the prior year. And the pace of the increase was the slowest since July 2018. And the growth rate's been decelerating since December 2018. So I think what's also happening out there is, we've had inventory growth, which is great, but maybe people are going, should I wait to put my home on the market? Should I possibly do a refi? So I'm sure home sellers are looking, or I guess you could say are being more numeric oriented, trying to figure out what the right move is for them, probably realizing that the top prices they were used to getting back 10 months ago, etc., are not available anymore. As simple as that. So the statewide list sales price to list price ratio was 98.5%, and that basically means if I list my home for $500,000 and it sells for $490,000, what's my ratio? And a lot of real estate agents use that as a success factor, saying, hey, I sell 98% of my listing price, whatever. Well, so the sales price to list price ratio is 98.5% for March 2019, compared to 100% for last March. So what that basically means is that last year there were people that were overbidding, and that's why the sales price ratio to list price ratio is 100%. So people were overbidding, and list prices were being blown out the doors, basically. Now, this I find interesting. The average statewide price per square foot for an existing single-family home statewide was $277 per square foot this March, compared to $276 a square foot last March. So we really seen a $1 increase year over year on a per square foot basis, which is obviously nothing. So that's a scoop on that. So I'll post a link for this, but when you look, if I look at the chart here, I'm going down the chart and I'm seeing, the sales year to date decreasing for California single family homes, 6% decrease, condo townhomes, 11.6%, LA Metro 12%, Central Coast 7.4%, Central Valley 8.2%, Inland Empire 10.4%, San Francisco Bay Area 10.8% decrease. All these are negative year to year-over-year sales declines. And I think, again, this is sort of, we see this. We see the fact that, houses aren't moving, and so if your house isn't moving and sales are slowing down, what do sellers do next? They drop price. They become more aggressive. So everyone's talking about the spring buying season. Oh, by the way, mortgage applications were up. And mortgage applications are literally week by week. They're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. Basically, if there's a slight increase in interest rates, the following week, purchase applications are down. So it's tough to sort of monitor and manage that. But the point is that everyone is talking about how everything's going to be so great for the spring selling season. Well, we're working our way into the spring selling season, and I don't see things being that great right now. So we'll have to see. I mean, could it change? Sure it is. But again, when you have these slowdown in sales, the most natural reaction, if you're a seller, is to do what? Drop your price, which then if you drop your price, attracts more buyers. But again, your price is dropping, and when we see the market, going over the hump and starting to work its way down now. So that's what's going on with respect to California and the Association of Realtors. So there you go. So next topic is Trulia put out a study and has talked about the fact that their markets are shifting more towards a buyer-friendly condition. So that's chipping away at U.S. home sellers' year-long advantages. So basically, it Trulia still says that sellers largely still have the upper hand, but the U.S. housing market is moving and shifting gradually in favor of buyers. And the shift has progressed furthest in housing markets where affordability has eroded in the most recent years, particularly along the West Coast, which is understandable. And home buyers getting a bit of relief. That's the big topics now. There's less days on market, increasing, price reductions increasingly common. Homes are likely to sell for less than asking price, less and less bidding wars and things like that. So we are seeing definitely a shift. And why it's, I think, material is that according to Trulia, if they look at the largest 100 largest U.S. metros across the country, conditions in 50, so conditions in half the largest U.S. metros are now shifting in favor of buyers, and that is a tenfold increase from just 5 metros a year ago. So that's pretty significant. So, we're talking, 5 out of, 100 metros are showing buyer shifting, and now we're looking at 50. So half of the U.S. metros, largest metros, are looking that they're shifting towards a buyer's market, which is, I guess, good news if you're looking to purchase a home. And obviously, we hope that will increase and spread to more than 50% of the marketplace, where we'll start seeing some price declines. And again, clearly, it's most obvious where there's been the extreme appreciation over the past couple of years. That's where we're seeing, like, again, the San Fran area, Seattle area, certain parts of the West Coast where we've seen such extreme increases in price values. Now we're starting to see them go this way, and that, of course, is clearly, it's more obvious than sort of normalized marketplaces here. So again, West Coast hits affordability ceiling, leading housing market shift. Simple as that. So when I look at this article, I'll post this as well too. Lots of tableaus you can look at, but in the end, it boils down to the fact that these are signs that our market is changing, and if people aren't looking at the signs, they're going to get caught paying too much for a home. All right, now interesting here, housing start collapse continues, worst annual drop since 2011, and essentially what happened is, I guess you could say, it's always funny how people write their comments, etc. But housing starts and permits unexpectedly tumbled in March. Housing starts fell 0.3% month over month, and this is against expectations of a 5.4% increase rebound. And to make matters worse, February's 8.7% plunge was revised down to a shocking 12% collapse. So what this basically means is this is the biggest year-over-year drop since 2011, suggesting builders remaining very worried and concerned, even as lower mortgage rates and steady wage gains offer support to consumers. So again, if you're seeing less and less housing starts happen, that's less people purchasing and engaging the builders. Their concerns are, of course, as as mentioned here, that what's going on in the marketplace. So, is it a fact that the builders still, new homes cost more than resale homes? That's a fact. You can look at the numbers and statistics. New homes cost more. Rightly so. They're brand new. They're updated. They got the best and nicest features and designs. And you don't have to do any maintenance for the new home for a number of years. So clearly they cost more than resale homes. But are they pricing themselves out of the marketplace? We always talk about the market segment that needs affordable homes and needs the builders to actually produce them is, we call the affordable home segment. And again, everyone's affordable home, we'll call it price range and value, can change region to region. But again, developers and builders, they're having a hard time doing that with rising labor and material costs, rising property costs. But we got these lower rates. So do the lower rates actually, I guess you could say, make up for the fact that you're spending more money for a new house? All depends on your finances, I guess. But interesting, the collapse was broad-based. Sometimes, when you look at the new home building, it's broken into 4 regions: Northeast, Midwest, South, and West. And typically, you may see 3 that aren't doing too well, but 1 that's strong. In this case, the collapse was broad-based. Northeast collapsed 28.3% year over year. Midwest, 28% year over year. The South, 4.1% year over year. And the West, 19.5% year over year. Now, this actually it includes both multi and single family homes as far as building starts, but single family starts was its lowest level since September 2016. So that's clearly taking the brunt and bringing the stats down big time. But again, it just goes to show that we're still struggling, and builders clearly aren't going to build for the sake of building. They're being very careful in what they do, and a lot of builders will only build now when clients. There's no more spec homes as far as I'm concerned. It's hard to make developments and secure deals. It's almost like they're going to start when we and build when we get a signed contract and we know the financing's coming through here. So very interesting. And to sort of dovetail with that comment about lack of building from the builders, I guess you could say Housing Wire, and I'll have a link to that, put out a little article here that commercial real estate and multifamily lenders closed a record $574 billion worth of loans in 2018. Which is very interesting. So this is from the Mortgage Bankers Association, basically saying multifamily properties saw the highest volume of mortgage bankers origination volume by property type at $266.4 billion, followed by office buildings, retail properties, industrial, hotel, motel, healthcare. So what's going on here is, as we said, so is there a shift in, I guess you could say, concept of where I'm going to live in the future? So multifamily has really been booming the past few years, and obviously the rental market has increased, and rental rates have pretty much increased or plateaued right now. So this is what's helping with the housing market. So if we see low inventory and people can't or won't buy single family homes, they're going to remain renters, and they're going to go to the multifamily, I guess you say, apartment complexes, etc., and rent and live there. So therefore, this group has seen a surge. I know that 2018 was a big surge in, as I said, obviously in lending and sales, in construction and the whole bit. A couple of videos ago, I talked about the fact that there's almost a suggestion that we're going to see a kind of like a rental excess of supply now, because it takes time. If you're going to build a multifamily apartment complex, you got to secure the land. Then you have to probably go through the zoning process and permits. Then you have to do your development, and then actually build and lease and occupy. So it's not like you're building a home in 6 months and you're occupying. It takes a lot longer for the whole project. So a lot of these projects were underway, and we see now that a lot of locations across the U.S. expectations of thousands of units becoming available over the course of this year and next year is actually happening. So this is going to sort of augment the single family housing market and suck up that required or that extra, that group of people who maybe can't afford to purchase or don't want to at this point in time. They have to live someplace. They're going to migrate to the multifamily housing, and then we'll see how the single family market actually works out here. So I think that's very interesting. But again, not a surprising thing that we've seen record $574 billion of loans generated 2018 for the commercial real estate sector. Very, very interesting. All right, one more thing to talk about today. It's now Florida is now, I guess, been displaced as the number one top retirement destination. Apparently New Mexico is the new retirement destination. Doesn't mean relocation, just means retirement destination now. And I guess United Van Lines does surveys every so often because obviously they're involved in the moving of people and they know where people are coming from and going to. So essentially New Mexico is now the top retirement destination. And of course after that you're going to see Florida and probably Arizona. Yes, Florida came in second and Arizona is third. So again, everyone's moving down to the Sunshine States, the Sun Belt states, etc. New Jersey, Maine, and Connecticut are the top 3 states that retirees are moving away from. Now, again, this is not just general exodus. Like I know there's other locations like, Illinois has a fairly high rate of people leaving the state, but we're talking specifically retirees here. So they're moving to the southern states, and some of the main criteria is they want to save money. Basically, they need to stretch their savings and their Social Security checks. So they're going to locations where they believe real estate is cheaper and their money can go farther. And of course, you're not going to have the same issues. If you're in a northern state, when you've got different seasons, there's different costs and expenses. If you're in a sunshine state, and traditionally, if you look at the property values, a lot of the sunshine states, at least, these few are cheaper on average. You've got more condos, more smaller homes availability, etc., and more, I guess you could say, more residences that are designed for retirement communities and retirement age people. So it just seems to be natural that people would flock down to the Sunshine States, obviously, in their golden years. But interesting that New Mexico has now become the top destination. I'm probably going to suggest that maybe there's a better price point in New Mexico as opposed to Arizona or Texas at this point in time. So that's at least picking up the pace right there, which again I find very interesting. So that's Scoop for today. Not a heck of a lot of discussion, but you can see things are happening right now. My main takeaways are everything is sort of pointing to shifting. So you've got people like Trulia, who Trulia is owned by Zillow now, and they're putting out information saying, hey, we see this moving to a buyer's market. So clearly they do well, Trulia's and Zillow's do well when people purchase homes through advertising. Zillow has their own, we'll buy your house, or we'll now offer you a mortgage, or we'll do things for you as well too. So, people are getting into this real estate game. You're going to see a lot more, I call them third-party companies doing this, a lot more application-based companies like Zillow, jumping into the fray here saying, hey, we can offer real estate services. It's all about, really who you're connecting with. So if people are looking online and getting information from them, then it's almost like a natural process where, well, if I'm getting my information from them, I'm looking, for a house via their website or their portals. Hey, if they can offer me financing or services to help me acquire the house or sell my house, maybe I should take a look at it. So, there is a shift. As much as there's a shift from the buyer's market, from the seller's market to a buyer's market now, we're also seeing a kind of a quieter shift from the traditional real estate sales agent, realtor, model to more application-based third-party companies, organizations saying they can do the same, if not better. And if you start looking at statistics and information, the majority of people, over 75% of the people, almost 80% of the people, are looking, before you purchase a home, you're looking online at the homes before you ever think of contacting a real estate professional to help you buy that. And a lot of people now are even avoiding doing that. They're trying to use applications or go on their own. So there's a shift, and whether it's a perceived cost savings by not using a real estate agent, or whether it's just I'd rather do it on my own because I'm empowered with all this information. I don't know what that is. I think it's a combination of everything. But as you can see, as we move forward in the real estate marketplace now, we're going into a whole different era. So we're going into a shifting of, I guess you could say, needs for housing. One thing I did notice is that more and more people, they're going farther out past the suburbs to become affordable. And it's like drive till you get pre-approved, or whatever that sort of term is, that more and more people are sacrificing commuting time length to go farther out of cities and suburbia to get to locations where they can actually, I guess you could say, effectively afford a home, afford residency, and they're offsetting that with commute times and whatever. So, we've seen that happen over the past little while now. So, there's a big shift in what's going on in the way we look at how we live, where we live, how we go about our business, how we, engage in the real estate market, and how we want to purchase or sell our home. So things are changing, and I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if you're not looking at all these aspects, you're going to get left behind. I mean, I look at that as well too. I'm very clear, in my business that, it's a whole different ball game now. And, buyers want different things or have a different process. Sellers, get frustrated and that we have to compete against different applications and processes as well too. So, the more we're aware of these things, the better we can navigate the housing market. So that's my point for today. Things are changing. Be prepared, be vigilant, understand your local market. I've got a lot of people who are contacting me for information and asking for advice as to what to do. My first comment would be go to your local real estate board. And what I mean by that is they have statistics and information. If you just type in wherever you live, go real estate, whatever, I just call it, like I'm in Tampa. So I could type in the Tampa Association of Realtors, and I'm going to get to their website, and they typically have market statistics and market studies from previous months as soon as they're available that you can actually look at and download and view online, which shows you sales activity, shows you inventory, shows you price points, median price points, and you can look at the trends. So when people say, what should I do? It's really, really simple. Go and look to see what's happening in your marketplace. If you want to sell and there's low inventory and you see because of that your local market actually is having price increases, it might be a great time to sell. If you think things have plateaued and become a bit stagnant, maybe again, it's up to you. Do you want to wait to see if there's a bit of a rebound for the spring summer selling season, or do you want to pull money out? I mean, a lot of these are personal questions that I can't answer, but I'm happy to engage you and make you think about what's going on in your marketplace. That's to me the most important thing. So obviously, if you're selling, it's a different ball game. You want the maximum sales price. You got to look at that. If you're buying, you want to do the opposite. You want to purchase at the lowest price possible, and you still want to look at statistics to see if you see downward trends and see if you can wait. So again, depends on what you're looking to do and what you want to have, and how important is it, and can you remain in your current position, whether you're renting or in a current house. How long can you hang out there until things change? Because we see all the signs out there, things will be changing, and I believe they'll be changing in the next few months. So anyway, everyone have a great weekend. I appreciate the views, appreciate the likes and comments. Share the video with your friends if you'd like. If you're not already a subscriber, please help me grow my channel and hit the subscribe button. I'd be most appreciated. And I look forward to speaking with you next week. And we'll put some of these links to these articles in the information section of the video. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.